Microplastics are the hot new viral toxin that a lot of people are talking about. Even RFK Jr. posted about it as director of HHS, but for good reason. These microplastics are freaking everywhere and they're ravaging our bodies. So in this video, we're going to talk about common sources of microplastics, what they do to us, and how we can not only avoid them, but cleanse these little micro nanoparticle sized plastic molecules out of our bodies. So first off, what are microplastics as opposed to, I guess, macroplastics, which is what, like eating Legos? Microplastics are exactly that. Nano-sized plastic molecules that you can't see with the naked eye, but they're small enough to get inside our bodies, harm our organs, get into our blood, and sometimes even small enough to cross the blood-brain barrier, get into our brain, and screw up our nervous system. And these microplastics come from all kinds of sources. I mean, we know how industrialized modern society is, how many tens of thousands of chemicals are used in heavy industry, and how many hundreds of chemicals we encounter in our daily lives from touching things and breathing things and wearing things and putting lotions and whatever the heck on our skin, eating things. So these microplastics, these plastics in general, all over the place. The most common sources that we encounter that get these microplastics into our bodies are as follows. I have a list. First off, packaging from food. Probably the most common source that we touch and we consume is food that's been packaged in plastic. And this plastic leaches microscopic particles onto the food. We eat it or we drink it, gets into our body. Of course, we know how much crap is packaged in plastic, plastic. Friggin' everything these days. Oh my gosh, just go to the grocery store. Plastic, plastic, plastic. Cheese, meat, bread, cereal, plastic, frickin' everywhere. You can only do so much to avoid it, but it's best not to get food packaged in plastic, but there's only so much you can do. If you can't avoid getting food packaged in plastic, at least don't freeze it in plastic, especially liquids in plastic, because that will leach extra chemicals from the plastic into the food if it's sitting there in the freezer. Especially water bottles. Don't freeze water bottles and then drink the water. There'll be extra BPA and plastics and crap leached into the water after it's frozen. Water bottles, plastic water bottles all over the place. So I would highly suggest drinking out of glass or stainless steel. Avoid those plastic water bottles, especially those plastic water bottles these days that are in the very thin plastic. These companies are saying, oh, it's better for the environment. We're not using as much plastic, yada, yada. Well, number one, all they're really trying to do is up their margins, lower their costs by using less plastic in their packaging. That way they can make more bottles with the same amount of plastic. And also that flimsy little plastic probably leaches more. So food packaged in plastic, water bottles, cutting boards in our kitchens, cutting boards with plastic. When you're running the knife, especially a serrated knife, along that plastic, it's cutting off little microplastic particles that are getting into the food that we're eating. So don't use plastic cutting boards. Ideally, like a good treated wood that you keep clean. So no plastic cutting boards or plastic utensils either. Micro beads in those skincare products. I don't know how much these days hygiene products have those exfoliating micro beads, but I remember like 15, 20 years ago, those little micro beads being sold as, oh, great for your skin, exfoliating, yada, yada, frickin' in everything. And not just, are we putting that on our skin and rubbing it in, but it gets washed off, goes down the drain, goes out into the environment and into the ocean. Poor animals, poor planet that we're frickin' destroying. Other sources, synthetic clothing is a big one. This is one I hate because I do prefer polyester, like synthetic fabric shirts. They just feel better to work out in and the moisture wicking and all that stuff. But it is a source of microplastics. So get organic cotton, bamboo, or hemp clothing. You know, I still wear the polyester shirts sometimes, but I recently switched to bamboo underwear. Not going to show you, but mucho better for the man parts organic bamboo underwear. I do have some bamboo shirts that I recently got that I am wearing sometimes, but synthetic clothing is a big one. And synthetic, blankets and carpets and all these things that we encounter and touch and breathe every day, definitely a source. And then other environmental sources, probably the biggest one for the environment, but of course we interact with our environment, we get water from it, etc. Car tires. Car tires are a huge source. With how many tens or hundreds of millions of cars are on the roads, those tires are constantly just scraping away at the asphalt. Rains come, wash the microplastic tire fibers into the environment, and then just destroy our planet, but destroy us as well. So car tires are a huge one. Then you have things like paints and tapes and, boxes I have sitting over there packaged in plastic. So unfortunately, there's only so much you can do, but the goal would be just to minimize exposure AMAP as much as possible. Causes. What do these microplastics do to us? Well, namely, they are endocrine disruptors. Plastic in general is an endocrine disrupting chemical, sometimes called a xenoestrogen, X-E-N-O, estrogen. Xeno means foreign in Latin, so xenoestrogen is foreign estrogen or endocrine disrupting chemical. Basically, they screw up our sex hormones, estrogen and testosterone, which is why I said, it's important to get non-polyester undies. Reproductive system, endocrine system, microplastics screw up our sex hormones. And then if these microplastic particles are small enough to cross the blood-brain barrier, you're going to be looking at neurological issues. There's a lot of studies coming out. The medical industry, I guess, is finally starting to study plastics and their detriments on our health. Not only are they finding endocrine disrupting, like studies showing microplastic particles in our balls and in our sex organs, but in our brain as well, spinal fluid, nervous system. If these microplastics are small enough to cross the blood-brain barrier, they probably will get into the brain. So neurological issues microplastics play a part in neurological issues. And then from neurological dysfunction, there's cascading effects. So you screw up the nervous system, everything else is going to get dysregulated. So we're talking immune system, faulty inflammatory responses, and then endocrine system disruption and everything from there. So nervous system is prime. You screw that up, everything else is going to go haywire. So pretty much every system in the body, let's just say that. And then if our body has to detoxify microplastic chemicals, in addition to all the other chemicals in our world out of our bodies, you're going to be looking at liver and kidney taxation as well. So microplastics cause a lot of problems. And not just for our bodies, but our world, our environment, literally our home that we live on. So oceans and forests, wildlife, microplastics definitely harm all of that. Now let's get into tips to avoid, reduce, and cleanse. I've been mentioning some suggestions on how to avoid clothing, cutting boards, utensils, packaging, drink out of glass, package your food in glass, don't get the plastic cheap Tupperware, but like a good glass Pyrex container or something like that. Don't freeze water in plastic bottles. So a lot of things you can do to avoid, I mentioned a lot here. And then reduce, of course, buy less plastic shit. Cleansing. Now, there's a lot of things that we can do for our bodies to cleanse. Milk thistle for our liver, eat more cilantro for heavy metal cleansing. Chlorella is a good algae supplement you can get in powder or tablet capsule form to take to help with cleansing heavy metals and other things out of the body. So I could go on and on. That's a conversation for a separate video. But there is one thing I do want to share with you guys and promote here, and that is, oh look, I have a bottle behind me. I didn't plan that. It's called Zeolite. I have it available at Conscious Strength. I'll leave a link in the description. You can go to consciousstrength.net to find it. What zeolite is that zeolite is basically a mineral. It's a mineral that gets created when lava interacts with saline water, so like seawater. And then due to the rapid cooling of the lava, this mineral gets formed. Zeolite is an umbrella term for a few dozen different minerals, but a couple of these specific minerals, like Clinotillolite, that's a mouthful, is one where these zeolites have a specific magnetic charge that is opposite of the magnetic charge of toxins like heavy metals and microplastics and these other things. So when we intake zeolite into the body, zeolite is also used in industry to purify water and things. When we intake this zeolite, it'll magnetically attract to heavy metals, microplastic molecules, other toxins, and then help carry it out of the body. So zeolite is a very good supplement that people can take to help with all kinds of different cleansing. And if and when you take zeolite, what I do is I take it on an empty stomach because I don't want the zeolite sucking up any kind of food or other supplements I take it with. I take my zeolite empty stomach an hour before or after any kind of food or drink. So it's best first thing in the morning or right before you go to bed. You can drink it with a lot of water. So make sure you take your zeolite with a lot of water. 1 capsule a day for maintenance, 3 capsules a day for like a deeper, intensive cleansing. Zeolite is a very good compound for cleansing poisons out of the body. And then, of course, drink a lot of water. Cilantro is a great herb to help with cleansing. Chlorella as well, milk thistle, and acetyl-L-cysteine for the liver. There's a lot of different things we could talk about. I'll do a future video on cleansing herbs and supplements and products and things like that. Eat a lot of fiber, good probiotics, a lot of good things you can do. Saunas, sweating is helpful for cleansing. So exercise, especially impact, drain the lymph, and saunas to help sweat it out of you. Many things we can discuss in terms of cleansing. I'll go deeper in a separate video. But those are tips to avoid, reduce, and cleanse. And we talked about what microplastics are, sources, what they do to us. Not good. It's very good that people like RFK and many influencers out there are talking about microplastics. I don't see big industries reducing their plastic usage anytime soon, so it's up to us to be the knowledgeable consumer and vote with our dollars and stop buying crap, make good choices, and really take care of ourselves. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe. See you guys next time.